Evening, everyone. I'm gonna call this meeting to order. I have to get my prayer. Okay, would everyone please rise for a short prayer and a salute to our flag? Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Statement of publication.
Take notice that this regular and agenda meeting of the Mayor and Borough Council being held on this 22nd day of January 2024 has been posted and advertised in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Balka.
Here.
Colisi.
Here.
Noha.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Sinarski.
Here.
Zabrowski.
Okay. Approval of the prior minutes of the mayor and council. Council President.
I move the following minutes of the mayor and council be approved on roll call vote, subject to correction if necessary.
Roll call.
Need a second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balka.
Yes.
Colisi.
I abstain on November 28th. The others, yes.
Noha.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski. Oh, he's not here, sorry.
Here's an excuse now.
Yeah. Okay.
Are there any proclamations or presentations? And we'll do executive session at the end of the meeting. All right. As far as appointments, I have some appointments tonight. On the Shade Tree Commission for a 5-year term, Paul Kolakis. Is there a motion?
Make a motion?
You have other ones too, or?
I do. Do you want to do them all at once, Donna?
Yeah.
Okay. Recreation Board, for 2 3-year terms, Rob DeWeiss and Dhaval Patel. Open Space Committee, a 3-year term, Nanish Desai. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to accept the nominations, the
Can't
appointments.
hear you.
Make a motion to accept the appointments?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Roberts,
Yes.
Balka,
Yes.
Colisi,
Yes.
Noha.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Are there any ordinances to introduce? Okay. Resolutions, if you would read them, Jessica?
We just open to the public on them.
Okay.
You don't have
At
to.
this time, I'm going to open to the public, questions on the resolutions, number 7 on the worksheet tonight. Are there any questions on the resolutions? Being no questions, I'll entertain a motion. Come up.
Robinson, 11 Burrell Square in Parlin. On the bill list, I see that Morgan Bluff is on the bill list for $7,000, which is a quarterly reimbursement of municipal services. I assume that's trash. Now that, as you know, is a rental facility. They have a pilot. They don't pay property taxes. In fact, last year they paid, under the pilot, they paid $220,000 less than they would have if they paid taxes because of that pilot. Last year, some of you who were here may remember that they raised their rents an incredible 20 to 25% on their tenants. But, and Mr. Skarzinski will recall this because he and I conversed about this, they have not fulfilled their obligations under the pilot. They haven't given the required financial documentation to the borough in order to get that pilot. So my question is, should we be paying for municipal service reimbursement to the Bluffs which does not pay property taxes and which is in default of their pilot agreement. I know there's a requirement under the ordinance that there be an agreement in place between the HOAs or the apartment complexes. I don't know if that is the case here or that's in place, but I just question whether or not that should be paid.
The required annual submission from Morgan Bluff with regard to the pilot has been submitted and it is currently being reviewed by the auditing firm.
Thank you. When was that submitted?
I don't recall the exact date.
Okay, after the questions were raised though by the public, I guess.
No.
Well, when I asked, they hadn't been. So it had to be subsequent
Again,
to
I'm
that.
not clear what the date was it was submitted, but they're in our possession and the
They're
auditor
being
has them.
reviewed.
The auditor has them for review.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. I don't think residential should get pilots, as you know. And my favorite topic, JCP&L is on the bill list for $47,000 this month. Are we any closer to getting the lights that we pay for every month fixed? And by the way, just to clear up an understanding, Woodbridge has PSE&G. We have JCP&L for our streetlights. The problem isn't that the lights aren't reported. The problem is once they are reported, they aren't fixed. So that's why the seniors do such a great job in Woodbridge in getting them taken care of, because different electric company. But we're paying, we continue to pay every month. These lights aren't metered, so we pay whether they're on or off. We know a significant percentage are off. Are we any closer to getting the lights that we pay for fixed?
We're going to be submitting
I'm sorry.
yes, my office is working with the administrator to submit a complaint to the BPU to see if we can get that. I don't know what, government's government. So BPU, I can't promise you that once we submit a complaint, that's going to immediately produce a result. But
Yes.
we're going to move that forward, that
Well,
process.
I appreciate that very much, and I wish you well with that. Unfortunately, Joe passed away. He was a great chair and would have taken care of those things. But I appreciate your efforts. That's great news. So thank you.
Are there any other questions? Being no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Move the public hearing be
Move the public-
closed. Okay, you got it?
Sorry, I move the public hearing be closed and the consent agenda be approved on roll call vote.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Roberts,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Polisi,
yes,
Minoha, Sinarski. Okay, I need a motion to accept the correspondence as listed on the agenda.
I make a motion to accept the correspondence as listed on the agenda.
For a second?
second,
Roll call?
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Polisi,
yes,
Minoha, Sinarski.
Okay, with that, we'll start committee reports, administration and finance, Councilman Balca.
Thank you, Mayor. The Administration of Finance met last week. We started going over some of the budget numbers. We looked at salary and wages and stipend positions. We also looked at the money that was going to be lapsing into reserve from the reserve that's getting lapsed into fund balance. And it's like 4,000,001, which is like $100,000 more than last year, which is good news for us. Also, if you looked at the investment activity report, we're at $500,000 more in interest this year than last year, which should be help with next year's budget, with this year's budget also. Other than that, progress.
Thank you, Councilman. Planning, who's second on?
That's
Dan too.
me.
Dan, would you do it?
Do you have notes or?
Planning and zoning, you can say progress if you, oh, you have?
Something from Councilman Zambrowski that he
Oh, I'm
wanted to
sorry.
share.
Go ahead.
That's okay. For the planning board on Wednesday, January 17th, the planning board held its annual reorganization meeting with professionals appointed for the year 2024. There were no applications discussed at that meeting. However, at the upcoming February 7th meeting, we anticipate discussions will begin regarding the community center application for 216 Ernston Road, meeting notice to follow once confirmed. The Board of Adjustment will meet this Wednesday, the 24th, for its annual reorganization, and Sarah will hold its first meeting of 2024 on Thursday, the 25th. Thank you.
Public safety, Councilman Anahu.
Thank you, City Mayor. Overall, from public safety standpoint, I think the main so at least some of the major highlights, of information that we received from our residents is more specifically towards the lights, which, has been addressed from our last meeting, even going until now, from Mr. Robinson and then many others that have reached out via email. And, looking forward to resolution, I'm grateful for the information that the attorney has provided to see how we can reach, solutions regarding how our streetlights can have more lights and, improve the safety of our borough. In addition to that, from the recent, monthly reports, I think nothing has really been glaring or standing out more except the, amount of theft, which has always been, at least within the past year, an area of concern for a lot of our residents. So that number still seems to be a bit high, but I know that, with your new entrance, Mayor, I know that you mentioned about 2 meetings ago that you'll be working with our chief of police to see how you can, work towards resolutions in traffic and in other areas. So I'm sure many residents are looking forward to more details on improvements. So I think till then, I believe we're working towards progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Public Works, Councilman Colasi.
Okay, the men and women in the Department of Public Works have been doing an outstanding job. They were all set for that storm on Friday, well ahead of time. The superintendent, George Gowan, has a great group of supervisors there. And they're always on top of their game in keeping our streets safe and clear for the residents. And that's all I have. Progress.
Thank you, Councilman. Recreation, Councilman Sinarski.
Thank you, Mayor. I met with Brian, the Recreation Director, and I have a tentative schedule for all of the events that are going to be going on for the year. There's a couple things that I'd like to add. I'm going to attend as many as I can. I also spent time in the Commission of Aging. I went to their meeting last week, which is part of the recreation, and progress, and we're doing fine.
Thank you, Councilman. Water and Sewer / Environmental, Council President Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. We have not had a meeting since our last meeting here on the Environmental Commission. But I do want to take a moment to congratulate once again the Eagle Scouts that attained their Eagle Scout status. And we had the pleasure of being there. Councilman Sinarski, Khaleesi, Mayor, you were there. And I just, the achievements that these young men have, it's like watching them become men in front of your eyes. And the most poignant part of that ceremony, which happens to be one of my favorite, is when they distribute their mentor pins. And the stories are usually about how tough someone was, which made them their mentor choice. And I just thought that was very refreshing. And it's an event I really enjoy participating in. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Okay, general discussion. Our CFO? No, not her.
Authorization to accept and adopt the Central Jersey Joint Insurance Funds 2024 Safety Incentive Program. Authorization to affirm the borough's civil rights policy as required by CJIF for the Safety Incentive Program. Authorization to oppose A 5659, which will dramatically increase insurance premiums, including workers' comp. And authorization to accept a deed of right-of-way dedication for a portion of block 175, lot 10.01 from the place at Saraville LLC. That's
Our
all.
motion?
Nope, will just be listed. An ordinance and resos will be listed at the next meeting.
Saved even more. Okay.
And Glenn's up.
All right, Business Administrators Report.
2 promotions in the Police Department, authorization to promote Daniel Elmeyer to Lieutenant in the Police Department, retroactive to January 1st, 2024, and authorization to promote Jamie Metelsky to Sergeant in the Police Department, retroactive to January 1st, 2024.
You need a motion? Okay. Anything else?
That's it for me. Goes to Denise.
CFO's report, Denise Biancamano.
Budget transfer resolution and a COLA ordinance. Thank you.
Okay. Borough Engineers Report.
Thank you, Mayor. One item, the South Minnesink Avenue project, looking for a resolution approving a change order. It's not going to increase the contract amount, but it's going to allow us to pay the contractor for additional work that was done during the course of the project. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Borough Attorney's Report.
Yes, just one brief item. We may have further discussion in closed session, but for those members of the public who are interested in the Board of Ed litigation, At the last meeting, I had reported that there was going to be a case management conference in between. There was a case management conference. The court pushed back the deadlines for the parties to respond to the current motion. We've submitted opposition on behalf of the borough, and it's currently scheduled to be heard by the judge on Friday. Judge doesn't have to decide anything on Friday. And for the public's information, what's currently on schedule for Friday is the Board of Ed has made a motion that the court should treat it as a summary matter, meaning they should treat it as something really simple that they can just approve or deny. And we've put in opposition on the substance, and we've put in opposition on the process. So the judge can decide any or all parts of that on Friday or following that. And I'm sure it will be public, whatever occurs. If not, we'll update the council and the public at the next meeting, depending on what occurs. So that's it. And then obviously, if we have closed session discussion, I'll provide more detail to the governing body.
Thank you. Anything else?
Nothing for me.
Okay. With that, I'm going to open the public portion. There is a 5-minute limit for questions or comments on any and all issues. Jim?
Thank you. Mayor, you might remember that back in the 80s, when the first aid squad wanted to locate over here where the DPW garage was, they went to the planning board, and the planning board recommended against that location. Mayor McCormick, because the first aid squad needed a location, went to DuPont and asked them if they could use that property on where they currently are. And then Council President, they said yes, obviously. Then Council President Jim Zagata ironed out the details. Now, I have suggested a number of times that the area adjacent to the first aid squad station and behind there, which is unused DuPont property, would be an ideal location for the bus depot. It's in the center of town. It's currently not used. The building there is marked for demolition. Very few trees would need to be removed. It might be possible to connect the high school and the middle school so buses wouldn't, to that facility, so buses wouldn't have to use Washington Road. I'm sure it would be a lot less costly than the $9.5 million the board plans to spend on the Cheesequake site. And before she left office, Mayor Kilpatrick reached out to DuPont but because of the holidays and COVID and everything else, the meeting didn't materialize, but they knew what she was calling about. And she hoped that if that plan worked and the Board of Education was able to save substantial amount of money over the $9.5 million they plan on spending on Cheesequake, perhaps they could even reinstate the busing that they took away from our kids a few years ago. And if that area worked out, it might make Labby's ludicrous lawsuit moot. So I know, Mayor, at the last meeting, you said you don't want to have any discussions with the school board on this matter. My question to you is, will you exert leadership and discuss it, not with the board, but with DuPont? Will you reach out to DuPont to ask if they would be helpful in
Take it under consideration.
donating that to the borough?
I gave you my answer. I'll take it under consideration.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much, and I wish you great success in that. Last year, Mayor McCormick and Mayor Kilpatrick, in a wonderful bipartisan cooperation, suggested we preserve the 40 acres that Peter Mako owns immediately adjacent to Kennedy Park. And I know the council agreed to have, I don't know, was it 2 or 3, Donna, you were involved in that, 2 or 3 appraisals so that we could move forward with that. What is the status of that acquisition of open space? We know there was a question on the ballot to divert money from the Open Space Committee, and that was defeated because the public wants us to be buying open space and to use that money for it. And I think we have $14–15 million. What is the status of that?
We don't have a status.
Don't know the status? When, well, the council authorized it. Is it moving ahead? Have we gotten appraisals?
That assignment was given to the chair of that committee. I don't have direct oversight of that committee. That falls under the purview of the mayor's office.
Under the purview of the mayor's office? Okay. I think they had a meeting last week. I think Joe has been ill. I don't know if he was there. So is that, I mean, that's a pretty important topic, preservation of open space.
I do not oversee the Open Space Committee. They have a chair.
But I
They were
thought the
instru-
council had authorized that we get 2 or 3 appraisals. Now, the Open Space Committee told me, or Joe told me that he wouldn't do that, that would be up to maybe you as the,
That's incorrect.
so you saying that, well, if the council authorized it, why would the Open Space Committee be getting those appraisals?
I was not directed to get appraisals. The Open Space Committee was directed to get appraisals.
Okay. Can somebody follow up on that? Because the preservation of open space is a pretty important topic. Okay, I'll ask the next meeting. All right, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hello,
Amy, how are
Demetra
you?
Wagner. Good, how are you? Demetra Wagner, 7 Roma Street. I just have a question about the one thing that was on the agenda for raising the medical benefits, co-payments or whatever for the employees as well as, I don't know, workers' comp or something. So I just don't understand it exactly because I know in the private sector, people pay a lot of money for their medical insurance and their workers' comp and so forth. So is this supposed to save taxpayers money or is this supposed to save money for the employees? Because I mean, we know New Jerseyans and such debt.
We'll get the information to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Being no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
I make a motion to close the public portion.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call?
All in favor?
I
Okay.
make a motion.
We have to go, we're gonna go into.
We're gonna go
We
into,
only close me to discuss litigation. I expect it to be 5 minutes unless, or less, unless the council has more detailed questions. And I do not expect to need any action following a closed session. This is just information.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And where this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public portion of this meeting is hereby adjourned in order that the governing body may meet in closed private session for approximately 5 minutes to discuss the following matters: litigation. Following the conclusion of said closed session, the governing body shall reconvene the open portion of this public meeting to consider any other matters which may be properly brought before it at this time. The nature and content of the discussion which occurs in closed session shall be made public at such time as the need for no non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
your motion?
Yep,
I make a motion to adjourn to closed session.
All in favor?
I need a second.
Oh, you need- All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any nays? Okay.
Just need a motion to reconvene again.
Take a motion to
motion.
reconvene.
I make a motion to reconvene.
There's a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any other business before this governing body? Being no other business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.